Page Turns. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matthew, the man with the hat who reads. And today we're looking back at the month that was. This is my May wrap-up. May was a pretty good month, quality-wise. And that wasn't, quantity-wise was bad. We got 9 books read in May. We had a couple we didn't get to. We'll talk about them first here right away. But it was overall a really good month. A lot of good stuff. We had a really good start to the month, but then the second half of the month just kind of things ground to a halt. We were busy with stuff. We didn't have as much time to read. And I literally was sprinting to finish one of these books, and I didn't quite make it. But like I said, we'll talk about those first. So, books I didn't get to in May. John Marr's The Marriage Act. I'm like barely started on this. I'm maybe 35 pages in, maybe something like that. Yeah, it's just about that. I really can't even make an opinion much on this yet because I'm barely started with it. So I'll be finishing this here in June, first and foremost. Well, no, secondly in June, because first and foremost, we're going to be finishing George R. R. Martin's A Clash of Kings. As you can see, we are getting very close. There's like 100 pages left because I'm not counting all those appendixes that are afterwards. So I was so close. I thought I was going to get it finished, but it is like 5 o'clock on the last day of the month, and I know my plans. I have plans tonight, so I'm not going to get it finished tonight. And I don't even if I didn't have plans, I wouldn't get it finished tonight. So this will probably get finished tomorrow as the first book of June. It's a lot. If you've read these books, you know. I'm really liking it. I think I liked the first one more, but I am still liking it. I'm going to continue on with book 3 because I do have book 3 and 4 yet in my pile. But we'll see. There was times with this one I started thinking, do I really want to read the whole thing? Because they're getting thicker, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to keep reading them. I'm liking them. It's going to probably be a 5-star, but I think I liked the first one better. But whatever. Let's get to what I actually did get to. First off, we have an April carryover. I've already talked about this book. William Kent Kruger's This Tender Land. I thought this was just absolutely wonderful. Very much has like a Huckleberry Finn feel to it. About these kids that are at like it's like an Indian school. Yeah, the Lincoln Indian Training School. And they escape and take off. And it very much has some Huckleberry Finn vibes. It has some Odyssey vibes. I really, really liked this. This was my first William Kent Kruger book I've read. And I actually got to meet the author after I finished the book, which was cool. And yeah, this was an easy 5-star. Really thought this was great. And I'm really looking forward to reading more by Mr. Kruger. We follow that up with Jason Reynolds' Long Way Down. This is probably the fastest I've ever read a book of this size. I flew through this thing in like 2 days. It's told in prose. I've done a whole review about it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but this was heart-wrenching. It was intense. It was a 5-star read. Absolutely loved this book so much. So good. Nobody's talking about it, I don't think, much anymore, and they really should check this one out if you haven't already. So yeah, we were looking pretty good as we were getting into May. We had 2 5-stars right off the bat, and then we had a 4-star right behind it with Mitch Albom's Twice, image over here. I've been a fan of Mitch Albom for a long time. This one I liked okay. I think it could have used another pass through on the editing. There was just I had a few little issues with it, just like of how it was structured and stuff. I liked it. I mean, it's a 4-star. I did like it, but it's not my favorite by Mitch Albom. And I know I haven't really done it. I should really reread Mitch Albom so I can do an actual video talking about my favorite by him. But This one was good. It's a love story. He can kind of like relive parts of his life if he just says twice, and he can go back to what he's thinking of. So it's kind of fun and clever that way. But it just, I also was not a fan of the ending. I don't want to spoil it, but the ending felt very just out of nowhere, out of left field type kind of ending, you know? And I was like, don't know how I feel about this ending. This is kind of a weird ending that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it was fairly enjoyable. It was a 4-star read. Then we had our Michael Crichton reread, Jurassic Park. 5 stars. Obviously, Jurassic Park is a classic. It's probably Crichton's best known work. I do kind of want to rewatch the movie because it's actually been years since I've seen the original Jurassic Park movie also. So hopefully I can get the movie rewatched and maybe do a adaptation discussion about it, because in rereading the book, I was like, okay, this is different at points than the movie. So I kind of want to rewatch the movie and do a video. Hopefully that'll be sometime here in the first part of June. I do want to look at it again. Then we had Jay Kristoff's Nevernight. I had this thing sitting in my stack for almost 2 years, and I am bummed at myself that I waited that long because I absolutely loved this. It had the Harry Potter vibes of like an academy for people, but they're being trained to be assassins in the Red Court, right? Red Court, isn't it what it's called? Red Church. Red Court, Red Church, same thing. The Red Church. And I just was like, oh my God, because also just the sheer amount of characters. I mean, it's in a school for assassins, so you know there's going to be characters getting killed, but oh my God, the body count in this thing is insane. I just loved this. I am so bummed that it took me this long to read it. I'm going to be picking up the sequels because it's a trilogy. I'm going to be picking up the sequels as soon as I get somewhere. If they have them at the bookstore, they should have them. And I'm going to finish this series off because I loved this, and I recommend this one a lot. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, but you're wanting something a little more, the schooling a little more adult, grown up, and more freaking people killing people, then here you go. But this was great. I loved this. So yeah, we had a lot of 5-star reads there that first part of the month. It was insane. 5 books into the month, and we had 4 of them that were 5-star reads. It would have to come to an end. We all knew that. And it did with Madness by Roald Dahl. I like Roald Dahl. I really do. And I've read some of his short story collections before. I read Henry Sugar just last year, and that was a 4-star read for me. This book was maddening, and not in the way the title is implying to. The title is implying to that these people are insane mad. No, this one just, it threw so much irk and ire. I was so livid at some of these stories, just because they don't seem to go anywhere, or they make no sense. And I got so annoyed by some of the stories in here. And I'm trying to think of, I don't want to spoil anything, but well, I'm going to though, because the one story, the guy is literally raised by his aunt as a vegetarian, and then he discovers pork, and it goes into this really weird, the last like page and a half, it takes this really dark turn for no reason. And I was just like, there was like no inkling we were going that direction at all. It just was like, what? And it was like I said, it was angering me so much. It was a 2-star because I just did not like it at all. I was just angry most of the time. When I read a story, I'd be like, okay, I like what we're doing here, and then it would just end, and I'm like, you know, as one does. We have Rob Hart's The Paradox Hotel. This is a sci-fi thriller. This one was kind of a mixed bag for me because I loved the premise of this, that time travel is possible. People travel to this place to travel through time, but they stay at the hotel while they're there. So I'm like, okay, that's a promising idea. The fact that some of these people that take people through time start to become unstuck and they're like seeing things that happened in the past or seeing things that haven't happened yet. I'm like, okay, that's, again, it's clever. The premise was great. But it's just, you get dumped into the middle of it and you don't have a clue what's going on. And it just keeps up with that, the whole story, that you just are trying to play catch up with everybody. Everybody else is smarter than you are because everybody else knows what's going on, but you don't. And clearly the author knew what was going on in his head. But the rest of us just, it didn't vibe great with me. I was kind of disappointed because, like I said, I loved the premise. I loved the setup and the ideas, but the execution just felt like a mess. And it was, like I said, it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It's very middling. I don't ever need to read it again. And this is like the second time I've read a Rob Hart book where I was like, I like what we're doing, but I don't like how it's being executed. I previously read his novel, The Warehouse, and flew through it, but I also just didn't care at the same time. So kind of a letdown, but still fine. It was fine, but we finally got to Matt Dinniman's Carl's Doomed to Stay scenario, the second book of Dungeon Crawler Carl. We've been trying to get this one read for a while, so it was good to finally get it read. I think I have similar thoughts to a lot of people. A lot of people have said that book 2 is the worst of them in the series that they had read. I'm not sure if that's still the opinion. I know some of the people I've heard have said they thought the second book was the weakest one. And I kind of see that because really, as a whole, it's a lot of fun yet. The characters are still fun. The setting is fun. But there isn't really a lot going on in this book. And then it feels like it gets rushed the last like 50 pages. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It was a 4-star read. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to continuing on with the series. This one did not hit me as much as the first one did. I really loved that first book, and this one was really good, but I couldn't give it 5 stars because I had some issues with it, and I felt like it had a rushed ending, and the setup, the premise of this book just felt like we were stagnant the whole time. I don't know, maybe that's just me. The second book here felt stagnant because we weren't really doing anything or going anywhere. But I liked it, don't get me wrong. It was good, and I will continue on. Then the last book we got read here in May was R.W.W. Green's 25 to Life. This is an Angry Robot title, and yes, this is the book I said you can't read the spine. Good news for that is I won't have this on my shelf because I'm not keeping it, but I liked some of the setup and the premise, but this book felt like such a slog at times. There was times I was just like, oh my God, nothing's happening in this book at all. We have a bunch of people get on a spaceship to take off into space for another planet because Earth is dying, and then that's the last we hear of that. Because we're focusing on our character still on Earth and how she just wants to run away and run through the wilderness that was once America. And apparently everybody lives on the East Coast and the West Coast now because it sure seems like the middle of the country is devoid of any good people. They're all tramps or runaways or whatever. Gangs. It's just like, it's weird. I didn't love it. I also had a few issues with something in the end with one of our characters. I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that she had something going on that she shouldn't have been able to survive, or we were told that they couldn't survive, but then then it's fine. I don't know. I know I just technically spoiled it. I'm sorry. But it it hit me wrong at times. It felt like a slog at times. It was a 3-star read because I liked the premise a little bit. And I liked some of the setup, but I don't need to read it again either. So yeah, my book of the month. This is where it gets hard because I loved all 3 of these so much for different reasons. I mean, you had This Tender Land, which is a genre I don't typically read, and I absolutely loved this so much. You have Long Way Down, which was heartbreaking young adult fiction prose, and I didn't expect to love it that much. But then you also had Jay Kristoff's Nevernight, a book that is dark and violent and so much fun at the same time. So I was like, how do I even pick which of these was the favorite for the month? And I wasn't exactly sure which way to go. And then I finally did decide that I had to make my book of the month This Tender Land, because it just surprised me so much how much I loved this book. And it was very close with Nevernight. Both of these were they were like, I was back and forth on it the whole time. I was sitting there thinking about it this whole month after I read them. Like, which one's going to be book of the month? I don't know. But I'm finally settling on this one. I think this was just absolutely spectacular. And everybody, if you haven't read William Kent Krueger and you're debating it, read this one. It's so beautifully written. It's such an interesting story, and I absolutely loved it. And it's definitely going to be in my top 10 at the end of the year. So there we go, guys. What'd you think? Did you read any of these? Have you heard of any of these? Do any of these sound good to you? What was your book of the month for May? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep turning pages.